Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and what we're going to do today is compare two juicers head to head in one of my famous juice-off comparisons to share with you guys what juicer will perform better when juicing a certain produce item. So first, what I want to do is actually introduce you guys to both these machines. Over on this side we have the Omega NC800. This is the fifth generation of the horizontal single auger design. This is the latest upgraded design that Omega has come out with. And in my opinion, it's the best model if you're looking for a horizontal single auger machine. Although they have a lot of other models of horizontal single augers, the Omega NC800 is my favorite because of some of the unique features it has that the other models don't. Over on this side, we have the Champion 4000 Juicer. This is the all-new Champion Juicer, just released in 2016. The reason why I like the Champion is because this thing is built like a tank, and it is made in America, which is a rare thing for a juicer company these days. Most juicer companies make their machines overseas these days. But Champion is made in the USA. And it's true that every juicer has their pros and cons, and I can't just say, oh, buy this one or buy this one. It's always the best, because in some cases, it isn't actually. And so what I want to do in this episode is actually share with you guys, how each of these machines work, how they're the same, how they're different, and most importantly, how it performs when juicing equal amounts of romaine lettuce later in this video. So without further ado, I want to get into basically explaining how these machines work and how they're different, some of the confusion about terminology with the juicers, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So the Champion Juicer is what is known as a masticating juicer. It's a true masticating juicer, and in my opinion, it's the only masticating juicer in the market at this time that I'm aware of, right? Many other style juicers, like slow juicers, many people may call them masticating, but in my opinion, those aren't masticating. Those are slow juicers or press style machines, which in my opinion are actually superior to a masticating unit. So when you're calling your juicer a masticating unit and you're a slow juicer, you're selling yourself short in my opinion. And let me go ahead and explain how the masticating differs from a slow juicer right now. So the Champion is original masticating, and to show you guys how this works, let me go ahead and take it apart here. Basically, the heart of a masticating juicer is the grinding teeth. Masticate means to chew, and only the Champion juicer has these special stainless steel teeth on here that actually grind up and chew the produce up into small fibrous bits. So unlike the original Champion, the new 4000 model has a smaller set of teeth where it grinds, and once it's ground up, then the pulp is then pushed down this single auger, where then the pulp is squeezed out and the juice is squeezed out through the screen here, right here. And there's actually lots of screen area on this screen. So the screen area may mean you're going to get a higher yield. What it also does mean, it also means it's going to take you longer to clean. So that's pretty cool. Now the thing is, with the Champion, it runs at 1,725 RPM. That's 1,700 RPM, so that's fairly fast, right? And based on the research and data I've seen, in general, the higher the RPMs of the juicer, the more oxidative damage it can do to the juice. And some juicer companies, unfortunately, incorrectly say, high-speed centrifugal ejection juicers that run at a high speed heat the juice up. And in my test, that's not actually true. I'll have another episode demonstrating how high-speed centrifugal ejection juicers do actually not heat the juice up. Actually, a single auger juicer will heat it up more, but that's an inconsequential, difference because it's not heating it up substantially. That being said, the masticating juicer, in my experience, is a juicer that will heat the juice up more than any other style machine on the market that I've come across. And this is especially a big problem, when you have an older Champion and you've been using it a lot, or you buy it secondhand and used, and the teeth are worn out. When you get dull teeth, there's more friction, more grinding, and more heat generated. I remember a long time ago I put my hand on the Champion chamber and it'd be warm to the touch. Now, is this going to really damage enzymes because it's so high heat? Well, if it doesn't get above 118 degrees, it's likely not going to affect the enzymes. And in my opinion, the heat is not a significant factor to the degradation of the juice. A more important factor, in my opinion, is the oxidative damage done by the high RPM of the juice, not necessarily the heat. And so this is big misinformation going around in the juicing community. So this is the auger that is for juicing standard, fruits and vegetables in the Champion. Also for doing the homogenizing, making the nut butters, the frozen banana sorbets. And I have to stop there for a second. The Champion, in my opinion, and based on all the juicers I've tested, is the best machine to make the frozen fruit sorbets and the nut butters because it grinds at a higher speed. It interjects some air when making the sorbet, so you really come out with a fluffy frozen banana ice cream, which is 100% frozen bananas or other frozen fruits. So that's why I really like the Champion. And that's this auger. Now the Champion 4000 comes with a second auger. It's a green auger. So the difference between the green auger and the black auger is that this green auger, it actually has no grinding teeth. So this one, basically, you put the produce in and basically just gets crushed and squeezed, and then the juice comes through the holes of the screen. Actually, this is pretty much similar to the Omega NC800. Now the main difference is the design of the auger, number one, and number two, that this one, once again, is running at 1,725 RPM, which is significantly faster than the 80 RPMs over on the NC800. Another thing I like about the Champion is actually the nice large feed chute. The feed chute size there is about 2¼ inches on the top, and then it kind of funnels down to about a good solid 2 inches. So that's a nice large feed chute to feed things in. Aside from the feed chute, you get a little pusher. The pusher to me looks a little bit chintzy. We'll show you guys the pusher on the Omega. A little bit more heavy duty. I like that it's solid. This one's a little bit thinner. And then the motor body. Oh, that's a heavy motor body. You could do weightlifting with this. You could use it as a kettlebell. It's probably like pushing 25 pounds. Solid motor, and I do like this a lot. Really powerful motor. Probably not going to wear out on you. If I had to stake my life on a motor, one of the motors in one of these machines, I would actually put my money on the Champion motor to be more durable than the motor on the NC800, just because it is significantly heavier. It also runs at a faster RPM. Now, next I want to talk about the warranty. The warranty on the Champion Juicer 4000 is a full 5 years on the whole entire unit. And this is a good, decent warranty, and it's backed up by Champion that's been in business making juicers in the US for over 60 years now. So that's actually quite impressive. In general, I mean, the Champions are known for their dependability, and people hand down their Champions to their grandkids and all this kind of stuff, and there's still Champions from the 1940s and 50s that you can find on Craigslist these days, and they're still running and operating. And it'll be interesting to see if these juicers in another 40, 50 years will still be operating and be selling on Craigslist. So I'm looking forward to that. But nonetheless, I'm highly confident this Champion will be around for many years to come because it's literally built like a tank. So now I want to show you guys how to assemble the Champion 4000 juicer. First step is you're going to go ahead and take your main body housing here. You're going to get your screen, and this also does come with a blank plate that's not shown, that is basically used for homogenizing or making the nut butters and frozen fruit sorbets and grinding. You're going to insert this with the whole side up, and that's going to go all the way down in there. Make sure it's fully seated and it pops out a little bit. Then you're going to take the outlet adjusting knob. This is a non-adjustable outlet adjusting knob, and it's the job of this outlet adjusting knob that goes in and you turn it to basically keep some back pressure on the pulp so it doesn't let it out too quickly so it can get further wrung out and juiced. Next, you're going to go ahead and select your auger. So today we'll be juicing greens, so we're using the greens auger. This is also the auger you would use for wheatgrass. If you were going to be juicing, standard fruits and vegetables, carrots and apples and things, you'd use this auger. The other thing I do want to mention is that you do need to remember to lube up your shaft before use when using the Champion. So I like to put some coconut oil here on the shaft. Otherwise, your auger may get stuck on the shaft, which is not a good thing. Put that all the way back in, and next you're going to go ahead and take your body, put it on there, and then turn it, locks into place. Super simple, super easy. Last step is you're going to want to put this part, which is the deflector. So the pulp, because it is running at a 1,725 RPM, comes out pretty fast, and it's actually going to shoot across your room if you don't have the pulp deflector. So you got to put that on there. My one comment about the pulp deflector is that I do wish it fit a little bit more snugly on the Champion. It seems to feel a bit loose and come off sometimes, so I wish it was a bit tighter. And then finally you have the pusher there that you could use to push the produce in, and we will not be using the black auger today. Over on the NC800, a little bit different. Once again, you got your pusher there, and then you got an outlet adjusting knob on the NC800, and this one actually has numbers from 0 to 5. So this allows you to keep maximum back pressure at 5 and the least back pressure at 1, and at 0 it actually just comes apart. So I like that this is adjustable. I do recommend you guys always keep this on 5 if you're juicing you know, leafy greens, vegetables and fruits. And if you're juicing fruits, that's when you may need to you know, crank it down to like a 1, or maybe possibly even remove it when juicing. This one needs no deflector like the Champion, because the pulp comes out at 80 RPMs and comes out a slow dribble. So I like that a lot. Next we got the screen. So the screen area on the NC800 is much less than the Champion, so this means it's going to be easier for you guys to clean. But it also may mean you're going to get less yield, and we'll be testing this out in a little bit. And let's see, look, that piece popped off. But the Omega NC800 is a 2-stage single auger horizontal juicer. It runs at 80 revolutions per minute, so it's much slower than the 1725. And 2 stages means upon the initial produce that you put in, it gets crushed, juice is squeezed out. It comes out stage 1 right here, out into the collection bowl. And then as the pulp moves down the auger right here, which actually I want to show you guys and compare these augers. As the pulp moves down the auger, it basically gets compressed into a smaller and smaller space. And you guys can see that this auger is specially designed. It's kind of like thin here, it gets wider here, and then they get the pressing area here. And this is mainly the part where it grinds. And the Champion auger is pretty much just the standard design auger. It looks like one of those augers off the, I don't know, 1960s wheatgrass juicers. Just a pretty basic auger design. Doesn't look like anything special. So, you know, the company that makes the Omega NC800, Omega, has been making these horizontal juicers for, I don't know, 30 years now, and this is the latest design to maximize the yield, and they've definitely done their homework on this. Finally, we got the body on the NC800, and this is basically it. And as you guys can see, looking at the feed chute sizes, the Champion is a circular, and the NC800 is kind of like more like a stadium, like a football stadium size, and it's definitely smaller. I don't know what percentage smaller. So this may mean you're going to have to cut some of the produce up, you know, a little bit smaller to fit in. We're going to go ahead and show you guys how to assemble the NC800, put it to close, and then we're just going to go ahead and insert the auger. One of the things I like about the NC800 is that you don't have to lube up your shaft before you use it, like on the Champion. So that can be a drag in my opinion. Let's see, assemble this guy back real quick. And then with the NC800, after you got the auger in, then you're just going to take the screen. This part on the screen goes down, and I do want to note on the NC800, they have a little plastic piece here that actually keeps some back pressure on the produce, in addition to the outlet adjusting knob that I showed you guys. The first stage screen always gets pointed down, and it just slides right in. And then finally you're going to put the end cap housing on. So to me, the Omega NC800, you know, a bit easier to assemble than the Champion. With like, it's more straightforward, if I want to say that. So the Omega NC800 to pick up significantly lighter than the Champion. I really got to struggle to pick up the Champion, the NC800 and 900, which is actually identical to the 800, just chrome in color instead of silver, significantly lighter. Now this machine has a full 15-year warranty backed up by Omega that I believe has been in business for like over 40 or 50 years now. And they're a US company, started and founded here in the USA. But this machine is made in Korea. None of Omega machines anymore are made in the USA. They're all made overseas. But that being said, they do stand behind the machines with a 15-year warranty. And all my customers that have purchased an Omega juicer has always gotten warranty service on their machine if they had problems. And I can't say that if you buy your machine from other companies. You know, that's one of the reasons why I encourage you guys to support me and buy your juicer at discountjuicers.com. If you enjoyed this video, if you're learning from it, you know, please help me out by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com so that I can continue to make these videos. Plus, when you buy from Discount Juicers, you know, you got me on your side as your liaison between you and the manufacturer if you're not getting satisfied. You know, if you buy your juicer from some other place, you know, I'm not going to be on your side to help you out because you didn't buy the juicer from me, right? We do have a price match policy. We'll price match any other authorized retailer of the same machine. And also, if you stay tuned to the end of this video, I do mention in a way you could actually get some special discounts as one of my YouTube viewers. But basically, the companies want to make sure that my customers are satisfied because they know, you know, that I have a reputation in the industry for selling juicers, and that, you know, I could make videos explaining if my customers are being taken care of or not, to let you guys know how it is with all the different companies. And to date, all the companies that I represent have always taken care of my customers on legitimate warranty claims. You know, another pro or con, depending on how you want to look at it, is the horizontal single auger juicers have been known to break a screen here or there. And this can be a common occurrence with some horizontal single auger juicers, such as some of the Omega juicers that are out there. Especially with the Omega 8000 series of horizontal juicers, I see a high incidence of screen breakage, and I don't necessarily see that level of screen breakage on the Omega NC800. The reason for this, in my belief, is because this is a newly reinforced screen with additional plastic moldings here along the bottom and around the front here, and it's a bit thicker and beefed up over the original 8000 series design. Not to say that you won't break a screen, but it's far less likely on the Omega NC800 than the other ones. That being said, it is still potential problem. On the Champion, I've never had anybody break a Champion original screen or the new 4000 model. We haven't sold too many 4000 models, but I can't see how really there'd be so much pressure or back pressure on this screen for it to break, because you're putting the produce in and it's kicked out immediately. The problem with the back pressure on the Omega NC800 is because when you put the produce in, there's always produce sitting inside the machine getting wrung out, and pressure builds up, and it's this cap's job to let it out. And if it's set at a too strong of a setting, like a 5, it should be letting the pulp out. You know, that's when it could have a failure. You know, that's why if you set it to a lower setting, you're less likely to be breaking your screen. And the only thing that you're going to be risking is actually a lower yield, because all the pulp is not getting fully dry. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a synopsis of how these two guys work. The Omega NC800 also comes with a blank plate to do the homogenizing and make your nut butters. As I said before, it's not going to do as well as a Champion, because the Champion does put some air in there and fluffs it up. The Omega NC800 doesn't. And this means you're going to have a more hard-packed and frozen fruit sorbet that doesn't melt as quickly. It means your nut butters are not going to congeal and stick together as well, and you may have to keep refeeding it a number of times to get it fully ground down. I mean, of course, the benefit, the flip side to this, is that you're oxygenating your ice cream, your nut butters, or more importantly, your juices less in the Omega NC800 than the Champion 4000. So the last thing I'd like to mention is the BPA status on both these machines. So the Champion is being sold as BPA free. It also comes with a BPA free plastic collection cup to collect the juice, and then you need to provide your own bowl to catch the pulp that comes out of it. Over on the Omega NC800, Omega does not advertise on the box or in its marketing literature that it is BPA free, although I have heard from the higher ups at Omega that, you know, it does not contain BPA. I also have seen testing from Omega that states the juice made with the Ultim Auger does not have BPA residues in there. And the NC800 comes with a BPA free collection cup for your juice, as well as a collection cup for your pulp. So without further ado, what I want to get into is actually the juice off comparison, because now that you know how these juices are similar, how they're different, let's see how it works in the real world. So now we're all set and ready to juice in the Champion 4000 and the Omega NC800. And what we have today is 50 ounces total of romaine lettuce. And the reason why I chose romaine lettuce today is because I know for a lot of you guys, it's important to juice your leafy green vegetables. The leafy green vegetables are the most nutritious foods on the entire planet. Things like whether that's kale, collard greens, bok choy, spinach, Swiss chard, arugula, or even dark green romaine lettuce. Leafy greens are some of the best foods you guys should be eating in your diet, and the fact of the matter is most Americans simply do not eat enough leafy greens in their diet. And the secret is when you juice the leafy greens, you could literally fit a pound of leafy greens through the juicer, and it's going to make a scant 1 cup of juice. That's only 8 ounces. You could add some apples or carrots or some pineapple in there. It's going to make it taste good. So now you guys can get the benefits of the leafy greens without having to eat them. This is especially important for some of you guys that don't like your vegetables, right? And for other you guys that like your greens, you know, yes, it's definitely important to eat your greens and be very make very sure that you're chewing your greens properly. Every mouthful of greens you put in your mouth should be a mush before you swallow it. Because if you just take 2 chews and swallow, guess what? You're not going to get the nutrition out of the leafy greens, because all the nutrition are locked in the fibrous cell walls of the leafy greens. And Jay Kordich, formerly known as the Juice Man, taught me it's the juice of the fiber that feeds you, because it's really these nutrients, the vitamins and minerals, phytochemicals, both discovered and undiscovered, that really heal and feed our body. And this is some of the most important nutrition that people are not getting because they're not chewing well enough. But you know, when you use a juicer such as the Omega NC800 or the Champion 4000, it basically does the chewing for you. It breaks it up, it ejects the fiber, it gives you the juice, and you could have much higher assimilation and digestion of the nutrients from the juice than eating the whole produce alone, you know, especially when you're not chewing it properly, right? And yes, fiber is important, and I know you're saying, John, but you're getting rid of the fiber when you're juicing, man. Okay, so you're getting rid of some of the fiber, right? There's 2 kinds of fiber. There's soluble and insoluble fiber. You get rid of the insoluble fiber when you're juicing, because that's what comes out in the pulp catch bin. But all the soluble fiber, that means soluble in water, dissolves in water, you're still going to get all that. So for example, in carrots, for example, there's approximately 50% soluble fiber. So even if you juice the carrots, you're still getting about roughly half the fiber in it. And same with leafy greens. You know, every different produce items is different. And you know, as much as I like to juice, I don't just live on a juice diet. Right? I juice maybe for 1 meal a day, and then I eat a nice big salad at night, get plenty of fiber, and then I eat a nice fruit meal in the day, or make a fruit smoothie and get plenty more fiber there. So I'm getting plenty of fiber in my diet. And of course, most Americans are not getting enough fiber in their diet. You know, if you're still eating things like soda, you know, and dairy products, milk and cheese and yogurt and meat, they don't have any fiber, right? So even a juice has more fiber than milk, right? So fresh made juice that you make at home, right? So yeah, don't talk to me about not eating fiber. Not to say that we should not eat fiber, but you know, there's a place for juicing. You know, juicing, in my opinion, is a part of a healthy diet, because you can maximize the nutrition in the leafy green vegetables that can be hard to digest, hard to absorb, especially if you're not chewing properly. If you think about it, our bodies are nothing more or less than a juice extractor. Think about it. We could chew, take this lettuce, chew it up, shoot it into a mush, and then out one side of us comes the pulp. That's our back end, right? And the front end comes the juice. But the juice, when it comes out of us, or our urine, is clear. That's because our bodies have pulled out all the nutrition and all the nutrients, and it's keeping it inside us for us to use, for us to store in our skin cells and to store in every cell of our body, you know, to be antioxidant protection from things like the sun and stressors, right, and disease. So that's why I really like to juice. Anyways, without further ado, I'm talking a lot. Let's go ahead and get into the weigh-in to make sure we have a fair fight. So now for the weigh-in, let's go ahead and take a look here. Over on the Omega NC800 side, 5 heads of lettuce and looks like we got a total of 25 ounces of lettuce. Over to the Champion side, once again 5 heads of the lettuce, and once again we have 25 ounces of lettuce. So this makes that an even fight. So now that you saw we have equal amounts of lettuce for both sides, we're going to go ahead and get rid of the scales and move these to the side, and we're going to go ahead and get juicing. Now what I'll be doing for you guys today is actually using a stopwatch, so you guys could actually see how long it takes me to juice in each machine. What I think I'll do first is actually I'm going to maybe juice in the Omega NC800. Let me move the produce over here out of the way so you could actually see the juicer as it's working. Set that up for you guys right there so you guys can see it. And before I get into the juice off and start the counter, I do want to let you guys know about the noise level, because that may be important for some of you guys. In general, the higher the speed of the machine, the louder it's going to be. So turning on the Omega NC800, you hear a nice motor hum, but it's fairly quiet. Over on the Champion 4000, turn it on. Oh, you know, it's about fairly quiet. It's a really smooth running motor, although it's running at a higher RPM. And it's going to change a little bit once we start putting produce through the machine. Let's see here. I think I'm going to use a common collection bowl for both machines so I could save cleaning. I think we got this set to 5. I think we're all ready to juice in the Omega NC800. So let's go ahead and hit start, and we're going to go ahead and get juicing. Now, if I was juicing different items, I would encourage you guys to rotate the different items that you're putting in. We're just juicing all leaves today, and the Omega NC800 in my testing in the past have been one of the best juicers to get the highest yield out of leafy greens. I'm basically putting 1 or 2 leaves in at a time, and as you guys can see, we're already getting some green juice out. We're going to have to use the pusher because the leaves are quite soft. And what I think I'm going to do for you guys is just basically fast forward this at high speed so you guys don't have to see me sit here and push all the produce in and talk your ear off for the next 5 minutes or several minutes while this is juicing. Alright, let's see, we got this. And put this in. And yeah, let's go ahead and hit the high speed, baby. Alright, we're down to our last head of lettuce in the Omega NC800. It's been going fairly well. Always in the Omega NC800, there's always a little bit of pulp that's actually not getting kind of sucked in the auger. This can be rectified if you're juicing like carrots and leafy greens. You could put a little bit of carrot in after the leafy greens and it's going to work significantly better. You know, when you're doing 100% leafy greens, there's always going to be a little bit of pulp that kind of like comes back up and it doesn't get sucked in. Looks like I got it actually all sucked in at this point, so that's good. And this is completely normal on the Omega NC800, so don't be alarmed. You know, to get the juice out of the last bit of pulp that didn't come out, you're going to want to take some of your pulp that came out and actually feed it back through. I'm not going to do it in this juice off because that would distort my results, or my yield results. But that would be the technique I would normally use. Now, one of the things that's really nice about both these machines is once you're done juicing, you get all your pulp. You can actually feed the pulp back through the machine to get a further extraction and further yield on both these machines. Probably the NC800 might work a little bit better, and you know, if you do feed the pulp back, you may have to loosen up your adjustment on there. Alright, let's go ahead and put this last bit of lettuce in there. Last head going in. Now I'm putting in the core part of the lettuce last because that's going to help grab on all the leaves that are stuck and suck that through. So that worked fairly well, so I don't have a lot of extra gunk kind of stuck up in the auger. And looks like it's been pushed through fairly well. And also when you're done juicing in the Omega NC800, because it is a slow juicer, you're going to want to let it run a little bit more until like the pulp stops coming out and it stops dripping. I mean, we could be sitting here forever letting it drip. I think I'll go ahead and turn this off and take a look at our time. So our time looks like it took us 5 minutes and 45 seconds approximately, and I was blabbing a little bit. So yeah, over 5 minutes. Let's go ahead and hit the reset. And next up, let's go ahead and see how long it takes to juice in the Champion. I expect it's going to be faster because it has a larger feed chute and actually runs significantly quicker. Let's go ahead and move over to this side. Move this out of the way for you guys, and move this over to this side. Alright, so we're all ready to get started here. Let's go ahead and hit the start. And let's get juicing. Alright, so on the Champion, I'm basically just going to go ahead and break this in half. And let's see if we can almost shove the whole thing in there all at once. Now we will have to use the pusher here. A little bit difficult to press in because this is the auger and not the grinder on here. Alright, so as you guys can see, the juice is instantly coming up and it's ground out the greens. Once again, this is the greens auger. This is designed for juicing wheatgrass and leafy greens in the Champion, and that's why I'm testing it today, because I hope Champion did their R&D. I hope they actually have an NC800 and many other juicers in their lab to see, you know, how their juicer compared to other juicers in the market, and hopefully they made a superior juicer in America that actually makes more yield than the Omega NC800. That would be wonderful. Or if Champion is just kind of putting out a new machine to kind of like, you know, sell more juicers, even though it's not as efficient as it could be. And once again, I want to remind you guys, every juicer has their pros and cons. Anyways, let's go ahead and do high speed for you, save you guys a little bit of time, and get me juicing instead of blobbing. Alright, so it looks like we're down the last few pieces of lettuce here on the Champion. It's actually gone significantly faster than the Omega NC800. It's about out here. Now it does concern me, you know, because the Omega actually has more blade contact time or auger contact time to really extract more juice, because the Champion sends it through a relatively quick style. You know, I'm not sure that it's getting the maximum yield out of these greens, even though this is a specially designed greens attachment. So, let's go ahead and stop this. Alright, stop. Alright, so that took 3 minutes and 51 seconds or 45 seconds. So this actually took 2 minutes less than the Omega NC800. So if you don't have a lot of time, you want to just get through your stuff and juice it and cram it through and be done, guess what? The Champion might be your machine. Took a minute less for sure. Alright, let's go ahead and I want to show you guys actually the pulp that was created in both machines before I show you guys the yields. This is actually quite telling. You guys can see the close-up on that there. Look at that. Okay, over on this side is the Omega NC800 pulp. Over on this side is the Champion pulp. Look at the Omega NC800 pulp. It's like really dark green, and the pulp on the Champion is, you know, a lot more kind of like light colored. Maybe this is because it's not pulling out as much nutrition or breaking it down as much. In addition, you know, there's actually significantly less pulp on the NC800 side than the Champion side. You know, is that because this pulp is like ground out and it's like wrung out, so it's even drier? Let's go ahead and check here. So once again, these are the two pulps. We're going to go ahead and grab a nice handful of the NC800 pulp in my hand, and we're going to go ahead and squeeze that for you guys. Look at that. Alright, yeah, we got some juice dripping out of that. It's not fully dry, but if you run this back through a second time, it'll probably get it drier. Now for the Champion 4000 side, you know, we'll grab a bunch of pulp and we'll squeeze this. Look at that, man. There's like a waterfall of juice still in the pulp. So what does this mean to me? This means to me that the Champion was not as effective as the Omega NC800 on the leafy greens. Of course, the final test is to test the yield. So let me go ahead and get some measuring cups out so we guys could show you guys the strained yield in both machines. Alright, so now I'm back. We got 2 Pyrex measuring cups here, and they measure up to 2 cups total. And we got the juice both here, and what I'm going to do is actually strain out the juices for you guys, because if the juicer puts more pulp in the juice, then it's not going to be a fair fight, because the volume may be inflated due to the pulp. So over on the Champion side, we're going to go ahead and carefully pour this in our cup here. And I am seeing that it is catching some pulp. And that's all the juice it made. We're going to go ahead and let that sit in there and strain out for you guys. Over on the Omega NC800 side, we're going to go ahead and put the strainer over our measuring cup. And we're going to go ahead and pour this juice into the measuring cup very carefully. So it does look like to me that the Omega NC800 actually did make more pulp in the juice than the Champion did, for sure. But also, as it looks to you guys, I'm still pouring, and it looks like it has made significantly more juice. Wow, like significantly more juice than the Champion 4000. I mean, I really hate to make juicers look bad, but I mean, this is the test that I did in front of you guys, showing you guys what happened. And I mean, an American-made product in 2016 producing a scant amount of juice compared to like an imported product, you know, that's really dialed in. It's like, hey, what's more efficient, Japanese cars or Korean cars or American cars these days? I think Korean and Japanese cars get way better mileage overall as their entire fleet than the US. And I think that's dismal. I think we should be able to do it better in the US. Alright, so now I want to show you guys the pulp generated from both machines there. This is still dripping a little bit. Alright, but there you go. The Champion made less pulp, the Omega NC800 made more pulp in the juice. That being said, the Omega NC800 made significantly more yield. So let me go ahead and do a close-up for you guys, show you guys the yield on both machines. Let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up on the yields over on the Champion 4000 side. 2016 juicer here. Looks like we got just under 150 milliliters of juice there. So that's not so much juice in general. You know, a pound of produce will equal about 8 ounces of juice, so that definitely falls short. And then look at that. Over on the Omega NC800, this juicer dominated. And this juicer made almost 450 milliliters of juice, just shy under it. And the Champion made under 150 milliliters of juice. So the Omega NC800 made literally 3 times more green juice. So as you guys just saw, the Omega NC800 dominated over the Champion when juicing romaine leaf lettuce. The other thing that I wanted you guys to notice, or that you guys saw when I did a comparison between these two, is that the juice on the Omega NC800 was a lot more darker green, and as was the pulp. This is because I believe the Omega NC800 was more efficient at literally crushing and ripping open the fibrous cell walls and extracting some of that rich chlorophyll pigments and nutrition into the juice, where the Champion kind of just went in there and crushed it and squeezed out the juice, much like if you take an orange, you squeeze it in your hand, you get the orange water, whereas, you know, if you take a orange, you peel off the coloring, the orange color, you keep all the white pith, you put it through the machine, you get a richer, deeper juice. So yeah, that's my assessment on that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and try the juices. We're going to go ahead and try the Champion juice first here. Man, tastes like lettuce juice. I mean, it tastes better than kale juice, but it's still pretty strong. Tastes alright. Let's go ahead and taste the NC800 juice here. I mean, it still tastes like lettuce juice, but I do have to say, for some reason, like the juice on the Champion side is a bit more bitter, and I don't really know exactly what that's about. The juice on the NC800 side seems a little bit sweeter to me. It's not as sweet as apple juice, mind you, but to me this is a more agreeable flavor, if you could say that about 100% lettuce juice. So now I'm going to go ahead and declare the winner of this juice-off comparison test, and we're going to have to declare the winner, clearly, the Omega NC800 Juicer. Not only did it make 3 times more juice than the Champion 4000 juicer, not only does it have 3 times the warranty of 15 years versus the 5 years on the Champion juicer, you know, it made a higher quality juice. Now, it did take 2 minutes longer to juice, but is 2 minutes longer to juice worth 3 times more juice? Well, to me, I got a little more time than money, so yes it is. You know, each one of these juicers have their pros and cons. If you're hell-bent on, you know, driving an American car that gets crappy gas mileage and hell-bent on buying an American-made juicer, which I think is great, that gets 1/3 less the juice, hey, that's up to you guys. You know, I truly wish that the whole industry, whatever company comes out with a juicer, Champion, Omega, Tribest, whoever it is, they always try to improve and make their juicers better. And I think it's really sad that Champion came out with their new 2016 model juicer with their special greens attachment, which is designed to juice greens, and it made a really piss poor yield in my opinion. And this is why I also don't recommend somebody that already owns a Champion to buy the greens attachment for their current Champion, because in my experience it's still not going to yield as much as a dedicated single auger juicer such as the Omega NC800. And you know, the Omega NC800 is one of the top juicers for juicing leafy greens on the market at this time. If you guys enjoyed this video, hey, I would encourage you guys to make your juicer purchase at discountjuicers.com. This allows me to continue to make all the educational videos I make on YouTube to educate you guys about the juicers, about how to grow your own food, and why you should be eating some of the best foods on the planet, the fruits and vegetables. So I thank you guys that are going to make your purchase at Discount Juicers, and I thank all you guys that have made your juicer purchases in the past so I can continue my important work of spreading the message of fruits and vegetables. Also, if you like this video, hey, please be sure to give me a thumbs up to let me know. This will encourage me to make some more video comparisons with similar juicers in the future. Also, be sure to share this video with somebody you think is considering a new Champion juicer to let them know how it really works. Also, be sure to check my past videos. I have over 450 videos on this YouTube channel comparing and contrasting and explaining all the different juicers to you so you guys could know how they work and be an empowered consumer, you know, instead of just like getting all the marketing fluff from the different companies. Actually put these juicers to work and show you guys what actually happens. And finally, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below. Don't miss out on any of my upcoming episodes. You never know what juicers I'll be comparing, what blenders I'll be comparing, what dehydrators I'll be comparing, or what juicing tips I'll be sharing with you guys. You know, every one of my episodes is packed with useful knowledge that can make your life better. So once again, my name is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. Alright, this is John Kohler with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and what I'm going to do in this episode is share with you guys the best way to get more vegetables in you. So congratulations, if you clicked on this video, you probably don't like vegetables or don't like them too much, and maybe even hate them. But you know that they are beneficial and that you should be getting more into. So before I share with you guys the